everybody. Alton with Evolution Tax and Legal back again. Today I'm here with the second installment of a four-part series covering the major provisions of the CARES Act. As you guys may know, the CARES Act was passed in response to the economic fallout from COVID-19. There's so many different provisions out there. I didn't want to break them down all in a single video. So what we'll be talking about throughout them are the tax due dates. We'll be talking about the different grants and loans out there, such as the PPP loan and the stimulus check. We're talking about relief provisions for businesses, investors, and individuals alike, as well as retirement plan relief and utilization. Specifically in this video, we'll be talking about the PPP loan, the EIDL advance, and the stimulus check. So let's jump in. The PPP loan, the EIDL advance, the stimulus check. You guys know these as some of the most notable provisions from the CARES Act. We're going to touch upon each one from a high-level perspective on a need-to-know basis. If you guys want a deeper analysis on each one of these programs, go check out our tax library at evolutiontaxlegal.com. All right, so let's hop in. The Paycheck Protection Program, better known by its informal name, the PPP loan. This is a loan geared to give small businesses up to 8 weeks of coverage for payroll, rent, mortgage, and utilities. This loan can be fully forgivable or partially forgivable, but it's got to be used for those expenses, right? Payroll, mortgage, rent, utilities. Also, the forgiveness isn't taxable to you, but what you have to understand is because the loan is not taxable to you, you actually cannot take a deduction for the expenses paid from the loan. The ability to apply for the PPP loan began when the CARES Act was passed. Due to the number of applicants and the limited amount of funds dedicated to this program, the government passed a second tranche of funding, which you could begin to apply for on April 27th. Most people don't realize this, but you could actually still apply for the PPP loan up to June 30th of this year. But keep in mind, this is a first come, first served program. So once the funds are gone, no more loans will be passed out. The PPP loan was made for small businesses. Small business is a business with 500 or less employees. In addition to that, sole proprietors and self-employed persons can also apply for the PPP loan. So if you're a qualifying small business and you still have time to apply, how do you do it? You have to actually apply through an SBA approved lender. These will include your big banks such as your Chases, your B of A's, and even local smaller credit unions. Just check with your local banks and providers to see if they're entitled to pass out a PPP loan. On top of this, you're going to have to fill out and submit SBA Form 2483. This requires you to identify a number of items such as the amount of employees you have and your payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage costs over the prior year. How much will you actually receive through the PPP loan? This depends upon your payroll costs over the prior year. Specifically, the max amount you're going to receive through a PPP loan is limited to the lesser of 2.5 times your payroll costs over the prior year, or $10 million. Also to keep in mind, if you have amounts that aren't forgiven, you're going to accrue a 1% interest fee per annum on those unforgiven amounts. As we mentioned earlier, to qualify for forgiveness, the proceeds from the PPP loan have to be used for payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage obligations. Specifically, 75% of the loan has to be used for payroll costs. The remaining 25% can be used for rent, mortgage, and utilities. What you need to keep in mind is that there's other ways to reduce the amount that's forgiven. Specifically, if you have a reduction in full-time employees or if there's certain reductions in pay rates, the amount of your PPP loan that will be forgiven will be reduced. The final item we're going to cover on the PPP loan is actually how to apply for forgiveness. So to do so, you're going to have to file an application with the lender who gave you the loan. With that, and at a minimum, you're going to have to file documentation showing the number of employees and their associated pay rates over the 8-week period, as well as verifying information showing how you use the proceeds of the loan to pay payroll, rent, utilities, and mortgage costs. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Advance, better known by its informal name, the EIDL Advance. This is a provision that was meant to coincide with the PPP loan and provide those who were negatively impacted by COVID-19 a $10,000 grant. You can view it just as that, a grant. It's not a repayable loan and it's not taxable to the recipient. If you were so lucky to be granted the EIDL Advance and the PPP loan, the amount that you received as the EIDL is seen as an advance on your PPP loan and offset against the amount that you would have otherwise received as the PPP loan. The last topic we're going to cover today is down to stimulus check. The stimulus checks are actually sent out underneath a program known as the Recovery Rebate Credit. What a mouthful, right? The way that this program works, it provides every taxpayer a $1,200 payment, an additional $500 for each qualifying dependent child. A quick note on that, that extra $500 only applies to dependent children and not dependent relatives that you may have claimed on your return, such as an elderly grandmother, aunt, or uncle that you provide more than half of their life support for. On top of that, the amount that you receive through this program is dependent upon your adjusted gross income from your 2018 or 2019 tax returns. The rebate credit is not taxable to you and it does not need to be repaid. Also, if you missed out on the initial funding or round of stimulus checks, it's not too late. You can actually claim the amount that you should have otherwise been entitled to on your 2020 return. So don't miss out. Guys, what a ton of information we just covered. If you guys have more questions on the PPP loan, the EIDL advance, or the stimulus check, go to evolutiontaxlegal.com to book a consultation with our team and get your questions answered. Also, you can go check out our tax library where we have a more in-depth analysis on each one of those programs. At the top of this program, I mentioned that we had 3 additional videos covering the rest of the CARES Act relief provisions. So go find us on YouTube at Evolution Tax and Legal or go to our site, evolutiontaxlegal.com, to check out those other videos. Guys, I really want to thank you for your time, and we hope to see you soon.